This is a TalkStation original podcast.
This is Marlin Masters, a brand new podcast from the Carteret County News-Times, where we hear from the renowned captains of the Big Rock Blue Marlin Tournament. We talk about how they got their start, the big fish they've caught, and the ones that got away.
This episode with Robbie Terry of Piracy is brought to you by Moorhead Motor Company, selling cars like candy bars.
We are here with Robbie Terry, captain of the Piracy.
Yeah, hey guys, how's everything going?
Pretty good, man. I know y'all are excited. You're already in the middle of bill fishing season.
Yeah.
Hatteras Village Offshore was a couple weeks ago. That's kind of the kicks off the NC Billfish Series. And then you've got Swansboro Rotary, Blue Water was this last weekend. Are y'all gonna fish the Cape Fear this weekend?
We decided to pass on the Cape Fear, just kind of the weather window and the owner's schedule just didn't really work out. So I think we're gonna try to get a fun day in on Sunday and just kind of keep the ball rolling and keep everybody's heads in the game.
Otherwise, all eyes are on the 66th annual Big Rock Blue Marlin Tournament. That's the big one.
Yeah, he wants that thing bad.
Yeah.
You know, he's I think he's been fishing it on his boat since 2008, and we've killed a couple fish in that tournament, and they just haven't really stuck for us. So it's at the top of his list for sure.
Now, when you say he, we're talking about Curtis Struck.
Yeah.
And this is a 61-foot shear line.
Yeah.
It's a great looking boat. And how long have you been with the family?
So I started with them July of 2015.
Oh wow.
So I'm on my 10th season with them. My first 5 years I was a mate on there, and then my captain at that time got a different job opportunity and took it, and Curtis and I have always just really clicked, so he asked me to stay and be his captain. So it's my 5th season as captain.
Were you excited to get that chance, man?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a lot though.
Yeah,
you know, it's
a lot of pressure. Yeah,
well, you know, you are downstairs and you're part of it, and you kind of understand the workings of the boat and all that stuff, but it's the extra stuff, you know, making sure travel arrangements are made, you know, mechanics, documentation, all that stuff that is kind of the behind the scenes stuff that you really just don't know about till it's all on you.
Sounds like when we talk to coaches going from assistant to head.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just get to be a coach.
Yeah.
You're just doing everything else, right?
Yeah, I remember. So we got the boat painted the winter of 2019, and it was a little bit behind schedule. So our first tournament was the Swansboro Rotary of 2020, and I just remember like that was my first time running the boat, taking the boat out, and we were going through the turning base, and I was like,
"Here we go."
Yeah, this is all on me right here.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Suddenly, you're like, I am in charge of this. Okay.
But it's been awesome, man. The family is absolutely first class. I mean, they're some of the greatest people I've ever worked for, and so it's never a dull moment on there.
Now let's talk about you and fishing in general.
Yeah.
I mean, did you grow up sport fishing offshore or?
No. Yeah, my family's originally from Pennsylvania, and we would vacation down here, and my dad was stationed down here when he was in the Marine Corps, and they always wanted to retire down here, and we had a trucking company and a working farm up there, and they were going to kind of leave that to me after I got out of high school, and they were going to retire down here. Well, my allergies and so on and so forth really weren't.
That wasn't for you.
No, the farming wasn't my cup of tea. So I said, hey, we don't have to wait on me. Let's go do this. We moved down here right after I got to 8th grade, so I started West Carteret. Just kind of, at the time, we lived in Mandy Farms behind the sports center, and my neighbor there, he was a mate for several years on boats on the waterfront. He saw me out there shooting basketball, bored out of my mind, and he was like,
"You want to go do some work?"
Yeah, he's like, "You want to go fishing?"
How about
I'm like,
that?
Absolutely, let's go. And so,
what was the first boat?
The Yellowfin with Jeff Garner.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty much my deal for really, honestly, most of high school. Every Thursday, I'd break off and try to go fishing with that crowd.
So you go from deep country in Pennsylvania,
bass
cows,
fishing,
pastures,
yeah,
and now you're on a deck offshore. I mean, was the first time when you went offshore, I'm sure you got a little sick.
Man, I've been lucky. I've been sick a handful of times, but that was my own fault.
Okay.
Yeah.
other reasons involved there.
Yeah.
But I mean, what a change in scenery. I mean, was there a culture shock when you moved down here?
Yeah, it's a totally different lifestyle. A lot of hustle and bustle, and up there, to get to a store or anything, you plan that trip out. It was an hour there, an hour back, so it wasn't like, man, I got to run to the grocery store and get some milk. And everybody lived miles apart. It was just farm after farm after farm. So just kind of get thrown in the middle of everything and all that stuff. It was a lot for sure.
It's funny. A lot of people growing up here would call this a really small town.
Yeah.
But Robbie knows that that's not necessarily the case. It can get a lot smaller.
It's getting crazy around here.
It's getting busy. Yeah.
I mean, it's turned into a year-round facility. So
for sure.
Who was the neighbor that got you into it?
His name was Phil Woolard.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was he on?
He had fished on a bunch of boats down there on the waterfront. He fished with Tommy Fletcher and all that crowd when they had a boat down there, and I think he fished some with Bruce on the Wave Runner. And but him and Jeff Garner had always been friends growing up, so that was just kind of his deal.
And did you take to it immediately?
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly just fell in love with it, and that was kind of the struggle. My parents didn't understand that you could make a living fishing. So like it was, all right, you're going to graduate high school, you're going to go to college, you're going to go find a job with good benefits and a decent salary, and life's going to be fine. So dealing with that, I mean, I had to fight my way for them to be okay with all of it. So
fishing was something you did for fun.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's wild. It's been a road for sure. I've worn a lot of hats over the years to get where I'm at. So,
so did you end up going to college?
Man, I gave it a try.
Yeah, fair.
My mom worked at the hospital there. She worked in radiology, and so I was like, well, if I got to pick something,
sure.
So I did a year over here at Carteret Community College through the radiology program, and we got done at Christmas break, and I came home like,
this isn't for me.
I can't do this anymore. Yeah, so that's fair. Like, that was a huge blow up over Christmas, and like, it wasn't prime time for all that to go down, So
there's a lot of people that want to follow their passions and not necessarily get stuck in a cubicle.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's not a day that goes by that you don't regret. Going this route. I mean, it's certainly worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. So after I did that, I had to strike out on my own and get my own place. So I was doing marine construction and filling in on boats when I could, and all that was going pretty good. And then when 2008 came around, everything kind of came to a screeching halt. And so I was like, well, I guess I got to go back to plan A. And I ended up going back to Carteret Community College, went through the fire academy, and got hired on with Morehead City Fire Department.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so I was a Morehead City fireman for 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah. A friend of mine's dad was a mate filling in on boats and stuff, and he found out that I did some fishing, and he said, man, I got this really good family that needs somebody to fish for them for a day. You mind helping me out? And so, yeah, I said, no problem. It was the Stansel family. They owned the 007. That boat was tied up right next to Piracy in Spinach Creek. And went over there and just immediately hit it off with them. They're from Angier and farmers and developers. So, I mean, just good, down-to-earth people, and
well, you probably went to school with CJ, too.
Yeah.
Right around that time. Well,
yeah,
no.
He was
after that. Yeah, that's right.
But I had known Curtis from EJW and stuff like that. Dave's stepson, Michael Locklear, him and I pretty much grew up together, lived together.
I know Michael Locklear. That's funny. How about that small town living right there?
Absolutely, yeah. So, man, I was like working at the firehouse, and on my days off, I was working on the 007. And I'd probably been on the 007 2 or 3 years doing the on and off deal, and Chris Russell, everybody knows him as CR, was the captain of the Piracy at the time, and they needed a mate to go up to, I think it was the Hatteras Grand Slam tournament at the time. And he said, hey, man, you work hard on the boat, you keep the boat clean, you want to come fish this tournament with us? I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so we went up there and ended up doing good. I think we finished like second or third, and then I got the invite to go to Pirates Cove and then Virginia Beach and finish out the season with them. And came back, and he was like, man, you're a hard worker. I enjoyed fishing with you. I'd like you to come back for us next season.
Oh,
So
what an experience.
I sat down with Freddie and Kathy Stansel and said, I've got an opportunity here to do a little bit more fishing, do tournament fishing. Freddie, he would go when the weather was good, and we might do the Big Rock, and they said, hey, go for it. So I still worked at the firehouse. I was like trading shifts, burning all my vacation time, trying to make the tournament schedule on Piracy and all that stuff. And I did that for 2 years with them. And then finally, like, I was out of vacation days. They were like,
you got to make your choice.
Yeah. And so I went home and sat down with my now wife. I was like, I think I just want to go fishing full time.
Oh,
like
wow.
the politics involved and all that stuff, I'm like, it's just really not for me. And so she's like, if that's what you want to do, go after it. So I sat down, got all my bills together, figured out what I needed to make, and called Curtis, and I was like, can I come meet you in your office? And he said, yeah, and went down there and laid everything out. And he said, when do you want to start?
Incredible, man.
Yeah.
And what a winding path they ended up where you
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, to get involved in it and then have to leave it behind and then get a chance to come back full swing.
Yeah, so they brought me on full time, and it's been awesome ever since.
And so
been right there.
CR was the captain for the first 5 years?
Yeah, and man, what a phenomenal dude. His dad owned charter boats and all that stuff. I mean, he grew up his entire life fishing, so he can be a little rough around the edges sometimes, but I really have to give a lot of credit to him for him pushing me and kind of steering me down the path to give me the confidence to be able to do what we're doing now. So
I'm curious, you talked about how you're from the northern border of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Your family's from upstate New York. Well, what's their reaction when they learn what you do?
They love it, especially now with everything online and live feeds and all that stuff. We have Starlink on the boat, so like we hook a fish or whatever, you're getting text messages from them, and it's cool. Yeah.
They're following along.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
One of the things I love about the fishing culture here is that when you get a reputation and you get a chance to, maybe it's not a fishing season, like you get a chance to go fish on another boat.
Yeah.
And I saw that you had a chance to go hang out with Adrian on Sea
absolutely.
Striker at the Bermuda Classic.
Yeah.
This was a couple years back, I think.
Holler.
Adrian, thank you. Thank you. It's hard because this is sort of an inside baseball podcast where most of the people who are listening, when you say Adrian or you say Casey, they know what you mean. But for those that don't know, we're talking about two-time Big Rock winner Adrian Holler and his boat, the Sea Striker.
Yeah.
And an experience you had down there in Bermuda with them.
Yeah, so I got lucky enough. I think this will be my 4th year going over there, but I had been with the family long enough, and a trip opened up to where Curtis was like, hey, man, if you want to come over here and fish this tournament, we'll bring you over here just so you can experience it and check it out. Well, like, absolutely. I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to fish in Bermuda, especially on the Sea Striker. So we went over there and had a blast, and Adrian Holler's captain, Pete Zook, him and I would probably consider him my best friend. We spent a lot of time together, talking about fishing, going hunting in the fall and winter and stuff like that. So, however it came about, obviously Adrian and Curtis are best friends. So 3 years ago, they were like, hey, we're going to shut Piracy down for the month of July. Curtis and I are going over there to spend the whole month. So this will be year number 4. I get to spend the entire Triple Crown over in Bermuda.
That's awesome.
And last year we did really good. We won the Big Game Classic, and then I think we ended up 3rd overall in the Triple Crown. And the year before that, our tournament wasn't quite what we wanted it to be, but we did get to weigh in an 876-pound blue Marlin.
I saw that one hung up.
So to be able to do that with Adrian on the boat, Ron Whitaker on the boat, Dave Pfeiffer from Shimano, and
Wow.
I mean,
This is like, it's like an all-star type of...
Yeah, that's pretty much as good as it gets, so.
You mentioned Ron Whitaker, and that's the captain of the...
Release,
who won... Well, really, there were 3 big winners last year, but he won the Big Rock last year.
There was big money.
He won the... Well, there was $3 million plus.
Yeah.
It was a pretty cool year.
Ended up second, right?
No, Ron...
He went second,
no.
but they got
Overall,
they got the-
Okay,
they
you're
got
right.
the-
You're right.
The fabulous fishing.
It was the
Yeah.
team down in... You're right. Yeah, that's right. The team down in Florida that had won it. You talk about the way you were able to look at CR as, or maybe not as a mentor, but as somebody who, obviously, if you're his mate, you're learning from him firsthand.
Absolutely.
And I love that there's this, there's going to be kind of a changing of the guard happening in this community where
There is.
a lot of captains are sort of aging out, and there's this younger generation coming in, yourself, people like Brent Gaskell, who are in their, I don't know how old Skyble is, but...
he's got to be right. He's not too far ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's this group of young people. I say young, but young compared to the folks that have been doing it for 3 or 4 decades. What would you say to somebody, like yourself, who just kind of jumped on a boat when they were 14, 13 for the first time and don't know if this is something that they would want to do, or maybe it is, they don't know how to get involved with it? Or...
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, so I feel like I got very fortunate, kind of fell into a loophole right there. I think, like you said, with things changing so much, it used to be, like when you talk to Skyble and guys like Pete and stuff like that, when they were 14, 15 years old, they're down on the waterfront washing boats in the evenings, icing boats down, helping people, and hoping to get that invite to go fishing. And that's how they kind of got their foot in the door with all that. You just don't see a lot of that anymore. So, I mean, I would love to see the younger kids kind of go back to that traditional stuff where you're kind of earning your stripes, you know what I mean? And coming up through it the way you should, not so much. And my dad had a boat, and I fished a bunch on that. So I'm ready to go conquer this challenge,
Looking back over the last, I guess now you said 10 years on Piracy, and even before that when you were working for the Stansel family, was there a particular memory that sticks out for you as the best memory of fishing?
Oh man, there's a ton of them.
I know there is.
I would probably the first blue marlin I got to kill.
Okay.
That was on the Piracy. It was during the Hatteras Village. That was 2019, and man, we hadn't had a bite all day, and it was getting rough, and like the last 30 minutes, huge bite on the left long rigger. And it was just myself, CR, Curtis, and Curtis's brother Russ on the boat. Slim crew.
Wow.
Yeah. We get this fish up there.
It's hard to get in the boat, too, I bet.
Yeah, we get this fish up there, and I mean, like the whole deed's done. We got the fish in the boat in like 12 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So we're backing down. Fish comes up there. We're like, yep, we're going to kill this fish. We get it back up there, and Curtis's brother Russ reaches over, gaffs this thing. We slide it in the boat, and it happened just like that.
Clockwork.
Textbook, everything went well, and that fish ended up weighing 656 pounds.
Wow.
And at the time, I think that's the biggest fish that boat's ever killed, and then to do it the Hatteras Village tournament, I mean, that there's a lot of history there and a lot of legends in Hatteras and all that stuff. So it was just, that's probably number one. I think it took the whole season for it to set in that happened, and
if only they all went like that, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Everybody be doing it.
That's right. And on the flip side, is there one that's gotten away that you remember?
That actually 2020, the first year I started running the boat, that was during the Swansboro tournament. First day, rough. Golly, it was rough. I think it was probably every bit of 10 foot out there that day, and had already let one go and had another one come up in there that was 100% a killfish, and we probably had 200 feet to go before we could get leader and actually broke the hook. And so that one stings.
Yeah, it's tough to let those get away. That's part of it, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Over the last 10 years, we talked about how the talent has changed. There's more people here, obviously.
Yeah.
But how about the the bill fishing industry. There's been a lot of new technology introduced. How have you seen the competition change over the last decade?
Well, I think with the way boats are able to travel now and things like that, where people are getting down to the Dominican and going over to Costa Rica for the winter.
Quick, yeah.
Yeah, you know, we've always traditionally plug fished up here, you know, big artificial baits looking for big bites. Well, a lot of these people that are coming in from out of town, and even a lot of boats from here that travel during the winter, have kind of switched over to doing more teaser fishing and dead bait fishing and switching over on circle hooks and stuff like that. So I think, you know, with the technology, obviously Omni sonars have been huge, and I think that's why we're seeing a lot more numbers. I think the fish have probably been here, but you don't really understand how lucky you are to get that bite until you have the sonar, where we're actually marking them, chasing them, and going over
and
them.
Still,
to get the bite, you know. So it's changing every day, you know, and seeing a lot more people going after the numbers, doing the bait fishing and things like that. So can't wait to see what's next.
Sure.
Yeah.
How many days a year are y'all fishing?
Our schedule isn't too crazy. I would say we probably average between tournament days and fun days. We're probably fishing between 50 and 60 days a year. So we have enough downtime where we can keep the boat maintained and keep things up to 100% most of the time. And that's a huge part of it. You know, I want Curtis and whoever he brings on the boat to come down. I want that thing to look brand new every day they step on it. And being able to have those 2 or 3 days of downtime in between fishing days helps us stay on top of that stuff. So,
speaking of getting the boat ready, is there any kind of superstitions on the Piracy when y'all go out?
Nah. As long as the music works.
Okay.
There's a set playlist and times certain songs need to be played. You know, that's pretty important. So
The Spotify's got to be set.
Yeah. Starlink and speakers all need to be operational.
Boy, the Starlink is nice, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a game changer.
Yeah,
it really is. Just being able to stay in contact. It's helped us out a few times. If we have mechanical issues, being able to call the mechanic, say, hey, this is what I got going on, and that they're sitting there at the dock waiting for you to back in the slip, and we're going to work on things. So there's a lot of benefits. I think there is some downside. You know, people obviously, it's easy to still get lost in your cell phone out there. You know, fishing's a little slow or whatever. Go inside and enjoy a little air conditioning and scroll Instagram or whatever, you know. So, yeah. So waiting on us to do our job. But no, I would say it's all positive stuff for sure.
One of the things I felt like last year when we started this Marlin Masters series was the captains talking about how not the easiest life being a captain of a boat. It's not cut out for everybody. You got to kind of love it, huh? Tell us what like the schedule is for you of what it's like to be a captain.
Yeah, so I think that's a big misconception. You know, obviously with social media and everything, you see these big, beautiful boats going to these awesome destinations and catching all these fish. Well, they don't show us, you know, there at 4 o'clock in the morning and working till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, getting ready for the next day. Or, you know, when we do this Bermuda trip, so we'll fish the Big Rock. We'll be home for like 4 days. We'll go up and do the Marlin Club tournament. I come home for 24 hours, and then I'm not home until probably July 29th, you know. So
wow.
So you gotta have that family structure and that backing, you know, to be able to go do that, you know. And luckily my wife and her mom and my mom are super supportive of all that, and they know from April to the end of August I'm gone. And so it's huge having that support to be able to do that sort of stuff. And I don't know, there's just so much more to it that, I mean, you could probably talk for a couple of hours about the amount of stuff that goes into it.
Preparation alone.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just for us, which I would say our program's not extremely aggressive, where there's some boats that travel year round. They're just going from destination to destination. But I think a lot of that makes it's easier when you have good owners like Curtis and them. They always make sure, like in Bermuda, they'll make sure my wife gets to come over there for a few days when we have downtime and things like that. And when we've, spent months down in the Bahamas and stuff, they always make sure that she's involved in everything. So I think just having a good owner and good family is 100% the key to success with all that.
One of the things that people also don't realize about sport fishing, at least in this area, is the relationship it has with charitable giving.
Yeah.
We met just a few months ago as Rough Point Rodeo was donating a check to Carteret Community College's aquaculture training program, I believe.
Yeah, the marine trades program.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then just a few weeks ago, you were fishing in the Christopher Pry. And, I mean, this is not a tournament that's attracting 50 boats.
Yeah.
It's, a dozen or so boats that are really passionate about being out there in the water and using it as a way to give back.
Yeah.
Is that what I mean? Even the Big Rock Foundation has played a huge role in this community. I mean,
absolutely.
You drive a quarter mile this way, that way, you're going to see the signs that show you the giving that tournament has had or has done. And is that something that is special about this area, or have you seen that elsewhere as well?
I think it goes on elsewhere. I think with having the Big Rock here, obviously that's a huge attraction for this area. And I think that's one reason why we kind of got the Rough Point Rodeo stuff going was, the Big Rock's huge and it's phenomenal for the town, and we're thankful to have it here. But there are some of us, and especially charter boat fishermen, that make their living on the water year round. And so letting people know that, hey, the fishing community is still here, and, we need their support, especially with the rise and cost and all that stuff. I mean, it's expensive to keep these boats going, and just trying to tie the community back into its roots with fishing and all that stuff is super important. And then, being able to give back, I mean, golly, what a cool thing to be able to do that.
You fish a lot of tournaments throughout the year. What sets Big Rock apart? What makes it special?
Man, they've just done such a phenomenal job with that tournament. I mean, for one, it's in our backyard, so it's super cool for all that to happen. And then Curtis's son, CJ, his wife is a director, Madison, so that's super special for us.
It actually only occurred to me halfway through this conversation. Because I remember that she leaves at the end of the tournament to go down to Bermuda with the boat. So that's,
So we, that's super special to Piracy. That's an extra little drive for us to try to do good in the tournament. But just what they've done with the downtown area and having event tents and things for people to do all week long. Even if they're not fishing the tournament, they have something going on down there every day to engage the community. And there's a lot of people that make that their yearly vacation to come down here for the week. So I mean, it's awesome boost for the town, and good for them for doing such a great job with all of it. And obviously I don't understand to that scale, but since we started the Rough Point Rodeo, how much goes into just that,
Right.
Talking with sponsors, scheduling events, keeping track of everything. I mean, that's a whole ordeal in its own, keeping all that going. So
it takes a village.
Have you had any of your Pennsylvania or New York family come down for Big Rock?
We have, I've got I think my aunt, my uncle, and I got 2 aunts and an uncle coming down this year, and then I think my aunt, my mom, and my grandma are going over to Bermuda for a week.
Oh,
this year.
wow!
They're there for all that, so plenty of pressure.
There's definitely a lot less. There's a lot less. He's fishing for a living. Are you sure? Yeah.
But it's cool for them to come into town and normally when they come down in the wintertime, we're out in the boat yard doing projects. To be able to take them out there just to see this sheer size of the boats, it's kind of. Your first time seeing it, it's a lot to take in, and
absolutely. It's quite a thing the first time you see a marlin hold up too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's addicting. Yeah, he's seeing those bites every day, or well, you hope every day. I mean, that'll keep you going.
I imagine even the first time you went out there in the 9th grade or whatever, 10th grade, and saw those colors come up, and you said, "That's out. They're all out here like this."
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's just crazy that there's countless square miles of ocean out there, and for us to be able to go out there and target a specific species and
it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, to do it multiple days out of the year. I mean, it's if you stop to think about it, it's pretty overwhelming, honestly, that we get to do what we do for a living. So,
well, that's why this is called Marlin Masters, and we're going to hope to see Robbie Terry back in the Piracy up into the way station for the 66th annual tournament. 67th, is it? Oh my goodness. The 67th annual Big Rock tournament this coming up week, and we wish you the best of luck out there, man.
Thank you guys for having us on here. It's awesome.